Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is price drop strategy for stale listings. Rain Nation, let's talk about one of the most annoying moments in real estate, when your listing goes stale. The showings slow down, the saves stop, and suddenly you're refreshing your phone like it owes you money. And here's the truth. A stale listing isn't a bad house. It's just a signal. The market is giving you feedback, and the badass move is to respond with strategy, not panic. A price drop can be a power move, or it can be death by 1,000 tiny cuts. The goal is not to discount your profit into oblivion. It's to create a new moment in the market and get the right buyers to pay attention again. Here are 5 ways to do a price drop like a pro. Number 1, diagnose the problem before you touch the price. Before you drop even a dollar, ask, is it the price, presentation, or positioning? If you've got low showings, it's usually the price or marketing. If you've got showings but no offers, it's often condition, layout, or buyer objections. Don't treat the symptom and ignore the cause. Number 2, drop with intention, not in tiny, desperate increments. Nickel and diming the price, $2,000 here, $1,500 here, usually just tells the buyers that you're chasing the market. A strategic drop is when that moves you into a new search bracket and gets you seen again. Make it meaningful enough to matter. Number 3, time it like a badass, and don't wait until you're bitter. The longer you sit, the more leverage you lose. If your listing is quiet after the first wave of attention, don't give it another week for 3 weeks in a row. Set decision points ahead of time. If no offers come in by X date, we adjust. Pros don't wing this, they plan it. Number 4, pair the drop with a relaunch, not just a new number. A price drop without a relaunch is like whispering in a loud room. Update photos if needed, tighten the description, refresh the first 3 listing photos, and blast it like it's new. Give buyers a reason to look again. And number 5, protect your bottom line with options. Sometimes the best price drop is a smart concession, like closing costs, rate buy down, or a targeted repair credit that removes the number 1 objection. You're still solving the buyer's problem, but you're doing it in a way that can preserve your net. So, Rain Nation, here's the badass bottom line. A stale listing doesn't mean you failed. It means it's time to lead. Get honest, get strategic, and make 1 strong move instead of 5 emotional ones. Price drops aren't about surrendering. They're about repositioning with purpose so you can get it sold and move on to the next deal like the badass investor you are. Now on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. Today's guest is Brad Holcman, founder of the $2 bill brand and one of the most unlikely voices in real estate investing, because this man spent 20 plus years in Hollywood producing some of the most watched unscripted television in America. Brad is an Emmy-nominated executive producer who developed and oversaw hit series across A&E, Fox, CBS, History, Netflix, Hulu, and more. Shows like 60 Days In, Duck Dynasty, Intervention, Triple Digit Flip, and Zombie House Flipping, racking up over 1.5 billion in content success. So yeah, he knows what makes a person impossible to ignore. Now he's bringing those same storytelling and positioning secrets to real estate investors and entrepreneurs who are tired of competing on price and ready to compete on experience. Through the $2 bill brand, Brad helps people go from invisible to unforgettable by finding their only statement, the one sentence that tells the world why they're the only choice in their market. His philosophy is simple: don't be the best, be the only. And Rain Nation, Brad isn't just a branding guy. He's an active investor running C&E Home Ventures, flipping homes in the Charlotte, North Carolina market with a focus on affordable housing and co-living. He's also a volunteer firefighter, a proud Midwest kid who moved to Hollywood out of spite and somehow ended up on the red carpet. It's my pleasure to have him on the show. So welcome, Brad Holcman.
That's the same as I get every room that I enter. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Believe it. And speaking of rooms, Brad, I met you recently. We were in Wilmington, North Carolina. Neither of us lived there. And you were speaking at a meetup there.
Yep.
And you know, when you walk into a room and you just totally click energy with somebody, I saw that with you. I'm like, who is this guy? I need to be friends with him. And the more and more I learn about you, I see what a true badass you are. So I am thrilled to have you on the show today. So give us a little background on you, the quick version here. And I want to hear how you got from Hollywood executive into real estate.
Yeah, I spent 25 years in Hollywood the day-to-day. I still am. I will talk about that later. But it was a few years ago that I started producing all these real estate shows on the network that I was employed by, A&E. And when I get into a genre of television, I have to go all in. And I went all in on real estate because I needed to put that on television. And what I met were incredible individuals. It's kind of people and my people that I didn't know existed. They were entrepreneurs, they were givers, they believed in the law of abundance, the law of reciprocity, and I just had to know more. And through these connections, and I joke, I was the hot girl in the room of real estate investors because I could put them on television. And I utilized that to get to know them and ask a lot of questions of who they are, what they are. And I convinced myself that the W-2 job was fantastic. It was great. It provided the foundation of the 2.0 life that I now live, to not just help create television shows that are impossible to ignore, but to do that to everyone else. So I jumped all in, started 2 years ago, figuring the life of an entrepreneur out, literally as we speak. And it's been the most fun and awful ride that anyone can imagine.
Fun/awful. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, we were chatting, especially about my badassery bestowment. You and I both have a problem property right now. And you said, are you talking about my property? And I'm like, no, I'm talking about my property. So we are all feeling it, which is why we needed that badassery bestowment. But I want to hear who some of these people are that you worked with who inspired you.
It was first, I was handed a lot of shows on A&E that I did not like. I'm not going to name those shows. I decided to keep one, and that show was Zombie House Flipping. It had been created before me, but with this cast in Orlando. And like anybody, I just kind of wanted to what's my version of a successful franchise? So you put the call out into Hollywood and be like, hey, my name's Brad. I'm looking for real estate shows. And people answer the call. So literally the first two people I met were Jamil Damji and Pace Morby. And if you are a listener of this podcast, and I'm sure in the real estate world, you probably know who at least one of those are, if not both.
Yes,
I had no clue who they were. I had no clue who they were, what they did. And I'm sitting and having these conversations with them of like, hey, are you a good television show? And they're looking at me like, this guy knows nothing about real estate. But let's impress him. Let's do this Hollywood, like we're going to just be nice to him. And what I discovered was those two individuals, and I really have a lot of love for them. Jamil's sister is in real estate as well as
Yep.
Pace's wife, and became really great friends with all of them. And I looked at them and how many lives that they were affecting with real estate, and how many people involved in the transaction, and that those two single-handedly started me thinking maybe the W-2 world was great for a while, but I kind of wanted to do what they did. And that's when everything opened for me, not just in real estate, but in entrepreneurship, and how to look bigger than what I was doing on a local level. Producing television is big. Yeah, it's public. Everybody knows my report card, can see what I do every day. But it's a small industry. The entertainment in it, it's impactful, but it's small. And I felt like what they were doing was much more impactful than me, with so many people. They have huge audiences. They were taking distressed properties, turning it into great things. I just loved how many people that they were helping. And you help the most, guess what happens? You earn the most. That's
Yep.
your wealth. They weren't rich, they were wealthy, not just because of their checking account, but because of everything else. And that's what started my journey on the road to still creating and still telling story and telling other people's story, but in a much different way.
Well, those two changed how so many people finance in real estate investing. They introduced the Sub 2 committee, which has just blown up. And now, it's so vast, and it's just now more and more. Back in the day, realtors knew like maybe 10% of realtors really understood what that was. And then now they're like, oh, well, let's talk about seller financing and all this stuff. And I really attribute that to those two gentlemen because of how many lives they've touched, and they're just absolutely outstanding. So I'm so glad you had that experience with them. But I want to move into your grandmother's $2 bill story. What
Yeah.
is this all about? And this is like the symbol of what you teach now. So I want to dive into this $2 bill story.
Yeah, a $2 bill has been such a part of my life, and it started with my grandmother. In the Jewish tradition, there's a tradition called Shalech Mitzvah, where you give somebody money as they travel, and it serves a couple of purposes. One, if somebody gives you the money, it serves as protection while you travel, and then the requirement is once you get to that place, you give it to the first person you see that's in need. So it's part
Oh,
of the Jewish tradition of giving. But my grandmother, and normally it's a dollar bill. Normally, it's just a see a same dollar bills. It's not about the actual currency. It's about the thought, the protection, and the fact that you're traveling to a new place and you think of someone else before you think of yourself. You're giving something away to that country as a thank you for the protection. But my grandmother did it differently because she was the star. She was the queen. She was the best. So she was like, not $1. I'm going to do $2 bills, double the. And it became such a symbol for me. And anytime you would hand somebody a $2 bill, they looked at it like, one, it was like monopoly money, it was play money. People don't watch, but people remember. And what do you not do with a $2 bill? You don't
you,
spend it.
you
You,
don't.
you
I have one sitting in my piggy bank for decades. Yes, I
right.
agree.
But a $2 bill, it's still two $1 bills. It's not, you can't even buy a pack of gum nowadays with a $2 bill, but you just hold on to it. A $100 bill, you can go in, you buy 50 times more than a $2 bill, but you don't remember the last time you spent a $100 bill, but you remember that $2 bill. There's a story behind it. So the one thing that I just love talking about with the $2 bill, and my grandma is the reason, just distilled in this, is the $2 bill, be the $2 bill. It's not expensive. It's not, it's just something unique and distinct about it that's attainable for all. It's also a lot more fun when you're the $2 bill versus a 5, 10, or 20, even though it's more expensive. It's not about that. It's about how can you be memorable with what you have in the best way possible. And it's all done because of the gift and the charity that was involved with that. So I help people become the $2 bill because also most of us are in a sea of ones. We started from a very little kid to be the same, stand in line, be the
Hmm.
person that just follows rules. We did all of that, but there was always that one person that didn't do that. And undoubtedly, years later, that's the person that's like, oh, they were just a little bit different, maybe uncomfortable at 10, 12, or 14 years old. But now as an adult, they're the ones, because they practice it over and over again, they were slightly different. So it's a lot more fun to do that, but also be memorable. That's your marketing. That's your calling card. People don't remember the same. They remember the $2 bill. And that's especially in today's market with all this AI slop and everything. It's you have to be different nowadays. And it's especially true in real estate. And I'm sure we'll talk about it. But real estate, there's only so many things you can do in real estate. So how do you stick out? Become the $2 bill in what you do.
And you have a 3-minute something. What I was just trying to look for on my AI generated questionnaire here, which always goes out the window because it is slop. It is absolute slop, is what you said. But what is this 3-minute questionnaire or something? Or tell us what that is.
It's completely free. It's find your only, and it asks 8 different questions. And those 8 questions it's backed up against my 25 years of knowledge, my transcripts. It's got so much knowledge behind it that it's essentially sitting down with me, you telling me everything about yourself, and then me coming up with a sentence of what makes you unique and distinct. What's your $2 bill only statement? It's a sentence. It's a rough draft, right? It's not meant to be the end all, but at least it sees you a little bit differently than you probably see yourself. You can't see the label inside of a jar. That's a little bit of what this does. It's asking you questions to think about that you may not have thought about it. And it's built on a framework that I created called the Only framework because it's cute and it just continues the same word and it's memorable. And it's based on the 4 letters of Only. Own your difference. Oh my God. N, narrow your focus. L, lead with your unique story. And when you do that, you become the why. You are the category. So that's what it goes through by asking these questions. So if you go to findyouronly.app, you can do this. You'll get this beautiful, actually not so beautiful. It's real. It's on the nose. It's the point. We don't put any like flowers and beautiful graphics on it. It's just to the point. It gives you a sentence of what, based on the answers to your questions, what makes you distinct and different in what you do.
I love that approach because I did Jack Canfield's, I'm a certified Jack Canfield trainer for his success principles, but one of the principles is your life purpose statement and determining your life purpose statement. What I like about yours is more on, because my life purpose statement could also be somebody else's life purpose statement. So I love the whole $2 bill kind of twist on it is what makes you unique. So give us a little example of, do you know your only statement off the top of your head? I have to look at my life purpose statement.
So here, and I'm not saying this to cover for the answer, but mine always evolves. It's always ever evolving. And I've had plenty of people kind of go back to the only statement because a question may have evolved and changed. So right now, for me, it's simple as I help you become the only, sorry.
Put you on the spot. I can't remember my life purpose statement at all times either. So
sure. And I think I have it here. I'm the only personal brand strategist who spent 22 years as a television executive that helps you find the story inside your expertise, name it in a way you cannot ignore, and build the authority platform that makes you the only one in your category.
Ooh.
That's today's only statement. I think the biggest questions that it asks are things that you probably should, and I'm going to be doing live sessions for this because I actually think it works better in a live scenario. So I give keynotes every now and then. And one of the best parts of the keynote is we actually go through the 8 questions together as a group. I did this at a conference in Vegas, and I had close to 700 people answer these questions at the same time. It was thrilling. It was awesome. I totally thought it was going to break, but apparently it did. It works. And the shared experience of having, oh, wait, that's unique and distinct. And it's even better if you're doing it with somebody because many times people see you differently than you see yourself. So your reputation is what people talk about you when you're not in the room. That's exactly what it is. But also sometimes these hard questions, you see yourself differently. One of the hardest days of my career in television was we did this thing called the 360. And the 360 is they ask you very intimate questions to the people that you manage, to your colleagues kind of at the same level, people that really didn't know you at the company, but knew your name, but didn't work with you day to day, and then your bosses. And they all are asked the same questions. It's all anonymous. And then you walk into this really uncomfortable, blank, disgusting room, and somebody from HR sits down with you who's an expert in this and literally delivers you the worst news of your life. Because undoubtedly, these people see you differently than you've really thought yourself. You don't ever cry in a workplace. I cried in the workplace, very much so, with all glass doors and windows. So anybody that walked by saw me. They absolutely thought that other things were happening in that room. Who knows what it is? I could give you 10 different things, but it was also the best day. It was the best day because I knew the disconnect and I could work on that disconnect. And that's what a little bit of this does, is it asks you these questions that you otherwise are not asking yourself, but also it's even better if you have somebody else help you answer those questions. So when I do this best, and I work with a lot of clients, we'll go through this exercise together, but I also ask them, do it a second time if your spouse, your kid, your friend, and ask them, if you were to answer these questions based on who you know, what would the answers be? One of the biggest tellings is if they didn't know. If they didn't know the answer, these are all questions that people should know. They should know for the most part, but it's a way to start the conversation. I really do believe life is so much better when you're just slightly different and the oddball. And with intent and authenticity behind it. It's just we all know who those people are, and it just makes life more fun. And guess what happens? You become the memorable person out of a room full of 100. I don't want to be the 99. I want to be the one person that 6 months from now somebody goes, "Oh, I needed my windows cleaned. Oh my God, that guy had this crazy promo. I'm going to call him because he was just that fun, really cool, giving guy that just was a little bit different in that room." That's how we do it. Are we doing it with that intent to transact? Absolutely not. We're doing it to build a relationship and a reputation that people are going to fall in love with. Life is more fun when you do that.
Absolutely. This is why I love your energy so much, because you are speaking my language. And one thing that you talk about is drowning in sameness. And I coach real estate investors. I've been doing it. I used to work with a mutual friend of ours, Tarek Musa, and I coach for his program. Now I coach for Rental Property Pro with my friend John Blackburn. And they talk about we buy with all cash, we close fast, we do that and
Haven't heard that before. That's so you.
The word cash, Brad, makes me cringe. I really hate, first of all, you're not really paying with cash. You're paying with like hard money or private money. It's really not your cash unless you're Tarek Musa. But how does one get away from that? And let's just apply this to real estate investors, because I'm sure a lot are listening. And like when I introduce myself, I'm like, "Hi, I'm Jen with one N." I try to do that one little memorable thing. And yes, exactly. But how can a real estate investor stand out in this crowded market and not fall under that whole sameness category?
First of all, you have to be good at what you do. That's
Yes.
the qualifier. You have to, because if you tell the greatest story but can't back it up with real world experience or provide the services that you're trying to sell, you're going to be out the door in a heartbeat. A great story and a great background only goes so far. So let's say the prerequisite is you're pretty good at what you do. Lots of people are good at what they do, but what separates them from anybody else? So that's one of the things that I do with people is we just talk and we talk and we talk. I have heard stories from some of the most wild or crazy individuals over the last 25 years. And my job in television was to find what separates them from everyone else on the biggest stage. Because what I had to do is, for me to be successful, you had to watch my show of all the shows on television on a day of the week, Wednesday, because it airs once a week, at a certain amount of time, at a certain time, 9 p.m., 10 p.m. What about my show? What about the characters made you stop and go, that's what I wanted to watch? And a lot of television is character led and person led. So that's really what we did. We try to mine what is so distinct and unique about this that will cause somebody to do nothing but click on the channel and watch. And then watch the next 3 minutes, and then the 5 minutes, and then get through an act break and keep going and going and going. So it's something I've done forever. In the real estate world, totally biased because this is your audience and this is the audience that I love.
Mhm.
It is a commodity industry. Everybody buys houses. Everybody sells houses. Everybody renovates houses. So what makes somebody distinct and unique? First of all, it's your name. I will say this to the end of time, your name, not a logo, not a We Buy Houses franchise. It's your name. I do business with people. I don't do business with products. I don't do
Mm.
business with company names. So let's get over that. Put your name in front, because if you can't stand behind your name, I don't want to be in business with you. Now, that, of course, I'm being a little facetious. Not everybody has to have their name. Like for me, my name is my company, but I have brands, which is completely fine. That's why Ryan Reynolds is an actor. He's a name, but he can create aviation gin that sells for $700 million. He can have a cell phone company. He could have a marketing company. He could have a football team. He could do all these things because of Ryan Reynolds. But guess what? Aviation gin is not buying the Wrexham football club. That's not happening, right? But the name of Ryan Reynolds. So first of all, it's important to do that. But also, what about you that you just ask a different question or have a different response to the question that everybody's asked? How do you see the world just slightly different than somebody else? What are you doing, not to go to the extra mile, but different while you're on the path of that mile? Everybody goes the extra mile. Everybody. But what are you doing today? What are you doing now? And if I'll give the example of my wholesaler friend. So he buys houses for cash. That literally was his marketing. That's what his postcard said. He came to me and he goes, I transact about 2 or 3 a month, which for wholesaler is really good, especially.
Sure.
But he's like, my life literally will change if I just get 1 or 2 more a month. He goes, I could retire, or my wife wouldn't have to work, and I wouldn't have to worry about getting another job. We're good. Just 1 or 2 a month, which is a lot. Again, a lot in the wholesaling world. So we spoke and we spoke and we spoke. And he told this story that was literally a non-story for him, because I prompted him with a question of like, tell me some seller experiences that you just literally, the prompt was, what's a seller experience that you remember? That's it.
Wow.
But that things that we remember for a reason. There's got to be
Right.
something there. He didn't know. So he goes, I was running late for a seller appointment and it was lunchtime. I hadn't eaten. I was super, super hungry. So I couldn't eat because I would be late to the seller appointment. I couldn't get lunch and then eat in front of the seller or eat in the car waiting for the seller. So I call up the seller and be like, hey, I'm so sorry. I just haven't eaten. Do you mind if I bring over lunch? What's your favorite lunch spot? And she goes, Chipotle. And he's like, ooh, thank goodness it wasn't some fancy steak place like Blue Fish or whatever. Goes to Chipotle, literally asked for her order, only doing this because he's hungry, gets the Chipotle order. It's $25 or so, goes over to the house. They sit down. They're eating lunch. At the same time, guess what he's doing? Listening, hearing stories, but they're breaking bread. They're having a meal. What do we do best? We bond over food. We bond over meal. 20 minutes later, signs the contract. He gets the deal. He makes $8,500. So he tells me the story as just a passive, like memorable story. And I'm like, you're the buyer who brings lunch. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you're the buyer who brings lunch. And then he goes, every time? And I said, every time. I said, let's play this math out. Okay. I'm pretty good in math, but let's play simple math. 100 seller appointments, $25, because you bring lunch every time. That's $2,500.
Yep.
One contract, let's say at $8,500.
Exactly.
You just made $6,000. He's like, yeah, but what about the other 99? I said, well, one, if you're 1 for 100 with seller appointments, get out of the business, especially if you're bringing lunch. But seriously, but the other 99, they're your marketing. They're going to tell people, who are they going to remember if somebody's selling their house? It's going to be you, because you did something as simple as bring lunch over. You can't buy that. $25 for a marketing message that just lives forever. You're never going to forget that person. He completely changed all his marketing and he's getting 8 to 10 a month. He completely scaled up his business simply because he's the buyer who buys lunch. So that's what you look for. Something so obvious, right? That I'm telling you the story. It makes perfect sense when you put all the ingredients together. But that's one of the things that I love doing with people is, what are you doing that somebody else is not doing? Not because you're going the extra mile, because that's just how you look and think in the world. And then we take that and we pour gasoline on it and it becomes a bonfire. So that's what you need to be doing. And it doesn't take that much. That's why it's the $2 bill, right? I'm not saying like
Right.
drive the nicest car, have the nicest marketing, do any of this. It's not about that. And that's where the motto comes from. Don't be the best. You will never win by being the best. You will never get to the end of the journey. It's like people who run the 100-mile runs. Nobody ever gets to the 100-mile, right? I mean, they do, but most of them don't, because who would ever run 100 miles in one stint, right? So same thing here is it's a little bit. It's just a little bit that makes you distinct and different, but we're not thinking about that. But we also have to know is when we walk into a room ourselves and we see somebody with a red hat, red shoes, a mullet, they stick out without even talking about it. Yes, you may judge, absolutely, but we remember. And if there's authenticity behind it, then you're like, what's your story? What's going on? You want to know more. You're actually talking, if you're that different, before words are ever coming out of your mouth. And that's the marketing of today. That's what you need to be doing to get the deals, be remembered in the market, put on the meetup, not just the meetup where you have a meetup where somebody's just speaking in front. But what about your meetup is something different, gives you something a little bit different flavor, just that much different. Then you're the $2 bill. You're not the $100 bill. You're not just feeding people and having drinks. That's all forgettable. But what are you doing to just provide just a little bit more different? Be that person that's there when somebody's not. Learn how to do that. If you do that over and over and over again, before you know it, all of these crops have grown that you planted seeds over time.
Oh my goodness. And that story reminds me of a Pace Morby story, actually, where the rabbit story. Do you know the
Yeah.
rabbit one?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, I know the rabbit story.
Yes. So just a simple thing. And I don't remember it perfectly, but it was an older woman who he was going to try to buy the house. And then he said, well, what can I help you with? I'm here now. Is there anything? And then it was, you finish it. What he helped
He rehome the rabbits.
rehome the rabbits.
As simple as that. And I'll take the rabbits.
Okay.
And that's a little bit of being willing to do what others aren't,
Right.
but it's also another thing that we do is we have to listen more. You've heard this before. We have 2 ears, 1 mouth. So that's what you should be doing. And that's what Pace is very good at. He's very good at listening twice and talking once.
Yes.
We need to be doing more of that too, so that we're meeting people where they are. We live in a world where all we care about is ourselves. When you look in a mirror, you just see yourself back. But if we just took a second and looked past ourselves and really deeply cared about an individual a little bit more than we've had in the past, it would be amazing. And we could help people with their rabbit situation. But a lot of us were just thinking of the transaction. And for me, it's not about that. It's about a relationship. My hope is that I'm giving a whole hell of a lot more than I'm receiving. That's just far better. And yeah, I'm going to be taken advantage of by that attitude. And I hope I receive more than just everybody taking advantage of. And the way the world works, it's not. The law of reciprocity will work every time. It just may not work on day one. But before you know it, that thing that you just thought maybe passively you gave, you didn't expect anything in return, that person tells a story at a coffee shop or at a barber shop. 6 months later, you get a call that could change your life. You have no idea. Drop seeds every day. You do not know where things are going to blossom and come out. For me, like I put content out every day. I don't know if that content's going to hit today, or if something that somebody watches today, they remember me 6 months down the road when you really need me. So be that person that's always giving, that's always helping. I trust there's a lot less people of that, a lot more people that are with their hand out. Don't be that person. Be the one that people remember because you're a giver. And ultimately, yes, it's going to come back to you, hopefully tenfold.
Absolutely. Well, I want to get back into a little bit of the reality TV shows.
Yeah.
And you have one that is just starting, and it's
Yes.
with a friend of mine, Tommy Harr, who's been on the Rain podcast, by the way.
Oh, I had no
Lovely
idea.
gentleman. Yeah, he did a past project, and it was his first flip, and he actually was like living in the basement of this property while he was doing the flip, and the water, there's
Oh
like no,
no.
not a hot water heater or something, so he was like shivering, taking cold showers every day, and then somebody else needed a place to stay, so like his friend moved in to the basement while this flip was going on. I mean, it was such a great story, but such a genuine guy, and totally along the lines of what you're saying about someone who always is giving back. And I just love him. So how do you find, but first of all, for the people out there who are like, they want to get into real estate because they want to be the next Chip and Joanna, or
Yeah.
Tark and Christina, but now Tark and Heather, just which to me, I have no desire to ever do a TV show. People are like, "Oh, you'd be so great." I'm like, "No, that sounds like a job to me."
Oh,
And
it
no,
is.
thank you. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So, look, my screen got fuzzy. There we go.
You look
No.
good.
Oh, there it is. It was because it was picking up on the Samsonite underneath my eyes right here. But anyway, so Tommy Harr, how did you all like connect, and like how does that work, finding someone to do the next like big show that's going to be out there, for because there's a lot of flipping shows. So
I would say almost 100% of people I put on television never thought about being on television. That doesn't make
really?
you a star, but it tells me about somebody that they absolutely do not see what I see in them. And that's probably why they're not going after television, because of I mean, you at least have an understanding that it is 1000% a job that you absolutely never want to have. It is a miserable experience filming a television show. Miserable, except for the fact that when you do hard things, good things happen as a result, especially on the other side of hard. So what Tommy is receiving is 10 to 15 years of being on a television show. Real estate shows do not go stale. They keep airing over and over and over again. So you
Yep.
do one thing really hard. It's 6 months of his life that he literally was working in 9 to 5, 6 days a week. I mean, he could take some days off, but he literally was working a job. And you think, oh, producing a television show, it's not, it's all glamour. If you're producing a flipping show, not only are you running a flipping business, because the business is what's being profiled, you are under now the rules of producing television. So you have all of these people in your face telling you to do things, being right there. Oh, we missed this shot. Explain what's going on. Do all the things. And here's what you don't know: 10 renovated homes in 6 to 8 months. You have to complete all. That is not for the faint of heart. That is something that most people, you're in the what, half of a percent of people that do that.
Right.
It's next to impossible.
Mm.
But when you're backed up against the wall, amazing things happen. And Tommy delivered. So how did we meet? Proximity is power.
Yes.
Sometimes you have no idea why you say yes. So we happen to be in a pretty high-end, spectacular mastermind. I'm always looking, and he didn't know this, but I'm always looking if you're a television star. I still produce television just like the Tommy show. I have the ability to sell television shows and produce television shows on traditional networks. So I'm always looking. This mastermind provided was proximity. Now I say this, and it's really uncomfortable for me to say this, but for him, it was proximity to me, because I could put him on television. That was not the point of him joining this whatsoever. He has a real estate brand, a wholesaling company, a flipping company, an education brand. He's super good and super successful in what he does. He didn't realize that on a Wednesday of this mastermind and a half-hour conversation that we had, that his life would forever change. And it was a
Wow.
process, but he had the ingredients. When you have great ingredients, my job is to create a great meal. He's the farmer, I'm the chef. And when great ingredients and a great chef come together, amazing things happen. And that's what the television show is going to be in a week. So he was not looking for a television show. I was not looking for a television show. I connected with him on a very human level. 20 minutes into the conversation, I literally asked, wait, what do you do? Because we were just connecting as humans. He's like, oh, I flip homes. And I'm like, oh, really? How many? Because for me, it's about quantity. He's like, oh, I've got about 15 going on right now. And I'm like, wait, what? Okay. Where are you? Columbus, Ohio. For those that know me, probably the worst city on this planet. I went to University of Michigan. Columbus is Ohio State University. Literally the city that I vowed never to go to ever again. And I literally had that seconds of doubt. And I'm like, I can't do this. I can't. I just can't. It took everything for me to go, okay, at least Columbus is not on television, because why would Columbus ever be on television? Because it's an awful place. I say this because when the first time I went to see Tommy in his world, I said the worst thing in the world that a Michigan guy could say. I actually kind of like it here. And he looked at me and he's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I'm not on campus. There's actually a city here. It's kind of okay. But yeah, we met a couple times, and I really do believe that proximity of power. A friend of mine that I recently made, he really talks a lot about that. A lot of people say protect your yeses because every yes takes away from something else. But when opportunities come and you have no idea where the journey is going to lead to, 110% of the time you should say yes. And if it doesn't turn into anything, it's an experience. It's a memory. It's something that will absolutely build you further. So this is a perfect example. I don't have any business joining a mastermind at the time. I don't have a 7-8 figure real estate business. That's what this is for. I produce television. I produce content. I'm interested in people's stories. Now I have a business that supports that. Back then I didn't. I was still very much a W-2 employee at the time. And he said yes because he wanted to stretch himself. He didn't have a business necessarily that should support a high-end mastermind, but he said yes. When you're in the room, things happen. They really, really do. But we're so comfortable being at home on our computer, on our iPad. We hate networking. We hate talking to people. I'm telling you, even if you're the biggest introvert on this planet, be interested. Don't be interesting. Then you don't have to talk. You just listen to stories. You can be an introvert and still be somebody, because being interested will always get you further along. So as an introvert that doesn't like to be anywhere, doesn't like to be the proximity, you don't have to say anything or do anything, because we remember the people we love, not because we told them a great story, but probably because we heard a great story. And that's where some of the biggest entrepreneurs in the world, I'm continually in awe of, because when I get on a phone with them and they're interested in entertainment and how entertainment works, they ask crazy amounts of questions. And these people are at the highest levels. And I'm so in awe of them because they want to understand. They want to know. They are interested. They're already interesting. They're interesting to me, but that's not how they get further. They get further by learning about someone else. So again, that's how all of that happened. He absolutely believed in proximity. I absolutely now for sure believe in proximity. And when two people believe that, good things happen.
Absolutely. And this is why you, Brad, are going to be a great podcaster when you finally start a podcast, because I know it's going to be so entertaining to listen to. But Tommy, I haven't talked to him in a couple of years, but I just remember the things I remember about him, that story about him in the basement of that house. But his dad was an inspector and he went along and followed his dad around, but his mom was a school teacher. And that was one of his goals, was to retire her out of teaching. So those are the stories I remember about him. And I'm so glad that you two connected, because now he's got this adorable little baby and a cute wife. And oh my, that kid, like I'm allergic to kids, and that kid is damn cute.
Oh my God. He's the best. He is, I mean, it's such a beautiful family. They have Sunday dinner every night. There's 12 of them that live in the Columbus area. He's one of 5 kids. All but one have a spouse or significant other, and they all get together on Sunday night. And they created Sunday night for me on like a Tuesday or Wednesday because I was in town. It was 4 hours of nonstop laughing, uncomfortableness, crying. There was drama. Literally, the television show was being written in front of me. And it was 100% authentic and real. They are the family that you're going to want to have dinner with, have a conversation with. And it's so funny that you remember the story of Tommy and his mother. He retired his mother, and his mother is a agent and designer for the company. And she is so grateful and thankful for Tommy for doing that. So when Tommy says he's going to do something,
Yep.
he is doing it. And by the way, he's 31 years old. He hasn't even lived, and
Right.
he has done more than most Americans will ever do because he's got a giving heart, because he helps people. He's good at what he does. One of my jokes and the way that I kind of sold the show was because he comes from, his dad has a franchise and home inspection business. He was walking homes before he could walk.
Right. Yep.
And
That is
I mean, it's just priceless. But everything about him, I'm so excited for everybody to watch the show. It is a family that you will 1,000% fall in love with. And if you don't, you have no heart. So I'm sorry.
Well, you definitely found a $2 bill in that guy, and best of luck in that show. And I'm sure it's going to be so very successful. But I want to get to the second part of the podcast here, which is what makes Brad Holcman a badass. And I use the acronym BADASS, and the first letter is B for book. What is a book that's made a huge difference in your life besides the Torah?
We said no to that. We're not going to talk about that. And I did not say Torah. Okay, for the record, anybody who said Bible, I'm not in your category. Not that I don't like religion, I do.
This is a private joke with us, Meg.
Yeah, sorry.
We're letting you all in on it.
Yeah, I would say there's 3 books. I'm going to cheat. There's 3 books by my entrepreneurial hero, Jesse Cole. Jesse Cole is the founder and creator of the Savannah Bananas. And if you don't know who the Savannah Bananas are, it is literally the greatest show on this planet. Jesse Cole's entrepreneurial heroes are Walt Disney and P.T. Barnum, which are mine. And Jesse Cole, if you read his book, every sentence is intentional and purposeful, that if you are at all wanting to make a difference in the world and having the most fun doing it, it is a book for you to read. It is the greatest book of all time.
I will definitely have to check that out, because I was a big Harlem Globetrotter fan growing up as a basketball player. And that's like, who would think you could do it on a huge baseball field in the same, anyway, I agree 1,000%.
So
that is.
can I just, because I'm going to honor Jesse Cole in the response to the Harlem Globetrotters. Are the Harlem Globetrotters a thing today? It's the same thing for 70 years, 80 years.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, they are, from what I remember, yes.
And the visiting team has won how many times? Not very many. He loves the idea and the comparison of Harlem Globetrotters because it's a brand that has lasted the time, but he vowed not to have a product that will ever go stale. So one of the first things that he does, or one of the biggest things that he does, every baseball game, he tries 10 to 15 new things.
Wow.
And most of those fail. So it's not 1 or 2, but he loves to fail miserably on the biggest stages because that sometimes is the most memorable. So he really does appreciate the comparison. But if you go to a Savannah Bananas game, you will not. First of all, I play baseball. I love baseball. Baseball is boring to watch.
Yes,
completely boring to watch. So, and it's because of the rules of baseball. He literally took every rule in baseball, every boring rule, and flipped it on its head to make it literally the most exciting 2 hours that you can imagine. But what's even more is Jesse Cole as a human being and an individual and an inspiring individual. So if you haven't read the book and you know nothing about the Savannah Bananas, that's okay. Search Jesse Cole. He's got 3 books. Read them all. They're A+.
Love it. I am on it. Nobody's brought that up, so I'm gonna have to check him out. So, all right. The first A in Badass is for advice. You've given us great $2 advice here, only statements. But I'm curious, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Be the biggest giver in every room that you walk into. Now, I had other ones, but we already talked about it. 2 ears, one mouth. That was one of them. But really, it's how can you outgive the biggest giver in the room?
Mm,
That's a reputation I want all day long.
I
And that's
love
what
it.
I was told, is literally compete on how much you can give.
And that karma comes back tenfold every time. Absolutely.
Yep.
All right. The D in badass is for drive. What drives you to be successful?
All right, I'm going to give two answers. One, I'm going to give the cheesy response of my family deserves better than they have right now. And that makes me wake up every day. So I just want to be better every day to provide the life that I want to give to my family. And when I talk about my family, absolutely my wife and my kids, but also my community
Mm,
and my parents, my cousins, my friends that aren't so lucky in life. I want to be for them every step of the way. The second thing, and I saw our friend Pace Morby do this, I want to step into every Waffle House, Starbucks, every place that has something, and I want to walk very proudly to the front of any line that I'm in and pay for everybody in that restaurant every time. That is why I want to be obnoxiously wealthy, is when I see people do that,
mm,
it I was in Phoenix speaking at Pace's mastermind. We are at a Starbucks and he walked in. There was a line. He doesn't use the app for whatever reason. Maybe he doesn't know how, but there was a line. He walked literally to the front of the line. He put down his credit card and he goes, put a couple $100 on it, pay for everybody here. Whatever's remaining is tip for here. I want my flat white. So he gets the flat white. He walks out. And I'm like, Pace, literally, that's my dream to do that at every
I love
time,
that.
every place I'm in. And he goes, well, there was a line. I just wanted my flat white.
That's so based too. That is so funny.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, that is definitely a very cool thing to do. I do have a friend who's on the famous side who that's what he does. And I love being in the room and witnessing that. And then also watching those shorts on YouTube, the reels on YouTube where the guy, excuse me, he's shuffling to the front of the grocery line and just swipes his card and just
Yeah.
keeps going. He pays for all the groceries and they're like, what? Gets me every single time.
Can
That and
I just
the
want to tell this
doggiest.
too, because it's such a small potato story, but it really, when we talk about people just watching you and seeing you, my daughter and I went to Applebee's because of the song, Applebee, whatever that song was that had Applebee's in the title. It's some country song. So we went to Applebee's. I'd never been to Applebee's before. And I just got the sense that our waitress, there's something happening, something going on. She was perfectly fine waitress, but I knew there was something going on. Our bill wasn't that much. It was like $25 or so. And I just tipped the amount of the bill.
Yep.
And I really hadn't done that before. So I tipped it again, not that much money at all. I walk out, she runs after us and she goes, "Hey, I don't know if like you meant to do this." Again, it's $25. And I said, "No, I meant to do this." And she literally just started crying.
Oh.
And I don't think it was the money. I think it was because she knew that I sensed something and that
Hmm.
this was how I delivered. The most powerful thing is my daughter hasn't stopped telling that story. And I only want to raise a child in this world that would one see that, honor that, and do it the same thing tenfold, and have the drive to. I firmly believe it's okay to want money. It is. Most of
Hmm.
us won't do a lot of good things with that money, but a lot of us will. And I want all the good people in the world that think of others before they think of themselves to literally be filthy, filthy rich so that they can spread all of this because there's just not enough of that in the world.
No, not at all. And what an education that is for your daughter. That's your $25 Chipotle story. It's your $25 Applebee tip. So see, your energy, your vibe, just I immediately was like brrr to you in that room when I first saw you. And I was like, oh, I need more of Brad in my life. So, all right, we're going to keep going here. The second A in badass is for aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So, what is a goal you are currently working on? It can be business, can be personal.
So I was there's a lot of Pace and Jamil in this conversation, and it's not meant to. I know other people in this world besides the two of them, but I was at their first Squat Up summit that had a couple thousand people, and I had just finished producing a show with Grant Cardone, and Greg Cardone was the speaker. And I got pulled to the front row with Grant speaking by his wife and his business partner. So I'm sitting in the middle, front row. I'm not going to talk about Grant and opinions. The fact that he stands on the stage and for 45 minutes owned a stage with 2,000 people in that room and probably influenced in the best way possible a tremendous amount of them. The idea of influencing one to many on the biggest stage is something that I aspire to.
Mm.
I'm not there. I'm not close to being there, but I will get there. I firmly believe that words are the most powerful things that we have. And when they connect with you, think about you in a response. There's nothing that is a bigger either change in your mind, change in your being. But then I also want to be the person that helps you get to that point. It's one thing to inspire somebody in a room, it's another to help them implement it and being on them so that greatness can happen. So I want to be that person. That's what I aspire to, not only inspire you from the stage, but in real life. So you can take those words on the stage and practice it in real life.
We said we weren't going to drop all these names, but I do want to bring up Dolmar because because every time you see him, he's always wearing the hat and it
Yep.
says what?
Real.
Real. Did you do that?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he's one of those $2 bills that always stands out. That is, and I know you had, because you produce his show, correct?
Yep.
And that again is just another person in the many lives that you have changed. And so again,
Dolmar and I, we're currently in business together as well, which we haven't announced yet. And
what?
and why? Because of exactly how you just, he is the most authentic, caring individual with a beautiful family and who cares
His wife,
deeply.
by the way, she's the brains in that family. I'm just
Keisha
saying.
is a star.
Keisha.
It's funny. Keisha, we were together at an event that Dolmar and his partners were having, and she had never been on stage before. She may have thrown up once, maybe twice before she gets on stage. And then she goes on stage. She didn't rock the stage. She owned the
I,
stage. She was
I
so
believe it.
amazing. Came out of it and she's like, never again. Not doing it. Not doing it. And I'm like, excuse me, girl. You are amazing. You have to now be on stage because of all the people that you just impacted. But those two, I cannot speak more highly of. The beauty of where I am in this business is I'm very blessed and lucky to have met some incredible individuals. And I will tell you, behind the scenes, a lot of them are really even better than what you see in front.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the opposite.
More are better than not.
Okay, good.
Yes, there are a few bad apples per se, but I also live this life where we were 100% all born as good people. Something happened
Mm.
if we're not along that path. Undoubtedly, it was something not in our control. Now, is that an excuse? Absolutely not, because as you grow older, you should probably understand these things. But I firmly believe 100% of the people on this planet are good people. And I am always a glass half full. In fact, I'm a glass running over type person that I will always have a seat at the table for you. Now, if you choose to disrespect that seat, it's going to be removed, but you'll always be there. So I firmly believe, even when people tell me stories about somebody, I'm always the one, let me experience it. I have the input, but let me experience, because I really do believe everybody's got some good in them. Everybody. And maybe it just hasn't been the right person or the right relationship that has gotten out of them. I believe people can change. I've done a lot of television shows in the incarceration world. I've done a lot of television shows in the drug addiction world. I've done probably close to 300 episodes or saved 300 lives on Intervention.
Mm.
Intervention was a show, if you didn't know, that it takes people literally on death's door as a result of drug addiction. There's an intervention that happens, and hopefully they live a life of sobriety after with a method that happens on the television show. These people are doing the most horrific things in front of a camera, in front of their family, stealing stuff with their bodies, drugs, all of the things. And we humanize that story because we understand that sometimes we are just a product of our upbringing. And we just didn't have that person in our life that can change our lives. And those people on the surface are horrible, horrific people, but we get to that human story. And that's what I love doing with people of all. I really believe that there's a human, honest story with everybody. Sometimes we just don't know how to deal with it or didn't have that person in our life that helped us change. So with 60 Days In, with intervention, with Behind Bars, like I've done a family lockup, I've done a lot of shows in these places. The one thing I did learn in jail, and a sheriff told me this in Indiana, I was shooting a show in Indiana, and he goes, this is a jail. It's not a prison. Jail means it's a certain amount of stay. You're going to get out. If you're at the grocery store and you're standing in line with somebody who's been locked up and because of the justice system, they are out, do you want them to be a changed human or do you want them to be the person that got them in jail? Simply as that. And I said,
Right.
well, all day long, I want them to be a changed person. So I'm like, that's how we need to treat them. We need to treat them as they did a bad thing. They're doing their time. While they're doing their time and thereafter, we have to treat them as humans and give them every opportunity to succeed because undoubtedly we're going to be in line with them at a grocery store and we want them to be a reformed individual. That when that sheriff told me that, because I knew nothing about the incarceration system, because I'm always like afraid of these people or scared or what are they going to do? And I'm like, holy cow. And that's really one of the reasons why 60 Days In was born, is to help these individuals succeed after as a result of their poor choice going in. I mean, we're all one bad decision from being in prison, in jail.
That is true. That is very, very true. And I'm going to give you another shout out for intervention because not only are you helping that person into a life of sobriety, is you are also helping the family members through those letters that they have to read on camera and go through that. And what a difference you're doing to them as well, because they're only seeing one side of things and so emotional. But anyway, I could talk to you all day. We are well into the next hour here, but I want to finish this out. The first S in badass is for systems. What systems do you have in place to help you achieve success? What are you laughing at? What happened?
I have failed completely at this S.
Oh, you don't have any systems?
I'm 1,000% authentic and I am being real. I am new to this entrepreneurial journey. I'm 100% new. When you're a W-2 employee, you follow the systems that were already created before you. As an entrepreneur, you don't have any of that. This is absolutely one of the spots that I literally, now I have a few systems in place. I would never, ever tell you that I'm an expert in systems when it comes to this journey. So I'm going to be really honest and vulnerable and say, this is 100% my blind spot. And this is 100% that I need to be better with. I need to learn, and I need to learn from the best that have the most amazing systems, because I know systems change everything. Everything. I know where I'm at today. I could be much farther along if I had systems in place.
Well, I know one of your systems, and it's your authenticity. And I know that sounds goofy, but like you exude it. And that's why I was like, I need more. Like within 5 minutes, I'm exchanging phone numbers with you. I'm like, I don't know why I need this guy more into my life here. And then we're on Facebook. I'm like, oh, he's friends with this one. I'm friends with that. Oh my gosh, he's doing a show with Tommy.
Awesome, by the way. Yeah, I
what's
love that. When you sent those pictures, I'm like, this is nuts. They're literally, my friends are with this woman that I've literally just met minutes ago.
That is your system, is you're the $2 bill. I'm telling you, you are very authentic. Well, Brad, I could talk to you all day. We are going to get to the final S right here, which is success. What does success mean to you?
When somebody that had no clue who I was or where I was comes up to me somewhere and says a line that I said at some point and said that line helped me move forward and be better than one day. That's it. It's not anything more than that. That's why I show up every day. I post every day. I do it because I know somebody out there needs to hear either my words or someone else's words. And that's why I help people get over yourself, get over the fact that Nancy from 8th grade is on your Facebook feed. There's somebody out there that you have no clue. We all have something special about us, something we need to share. somebody's life will be changed by the words. And I need to demonstrate that every day. And when somebody comes up to me and says something and repeats something I said, that's success.
Well, I am just so very impressed with you and so glad you crossed paths just on that random encounter. And I am just lucky to now call you friend. One more time, I want everybody on here to go immediately to findyouronly.app, not .com, but .app, A-P-P, findyouronly.app, and do this and find your $2, what do we call it? $2
only statement. Your $2
$2
bill only statement. Yeah.
your $2 bill only statement. And I think, oh my gosh, here is Tommy and me right there. How funny is that just showed up?
Amazing.
That is from 1922, by the way, or
That's how good
2022.
Tommy is he just shows up unexpectedly. Yeah.
This was not even supposed to be about Tommy. This is about you. But anyway, Brad, it has been such a pleasure to have you on the show. So thank you so very much for being here today.
Thank you. It's
Absolutely.
a pleasure. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. That is all. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.